Hello, welcome back to another video on astrology. In this video, I'll be talking to you about Mercury in the fourth house, as stated by Sage Brigu in Brigu Sutram. But the book I'm referring to is translated by Dr. G.S. Kapoor. And in case you do not have this book, please get this book as quickly as possible because there is extraordinary content in this book. So when you say Mercury is in the fourth house, you should ask a question. How often does that happen? How many people in the world will have Mercury in the fourth house? Because there are only 12 houses in a horoscope and there's only one Mercury, the chances are 1 out of 12 people in this world will have Mercury in the fourth house. Common sense will tell you that the effect must be the same. But if you know astrology, then you'll say, no, it cannot be the same because Mercury can be in many different ways in the fourth house. You may wonder, what do we mean by that when we say many different ways of being in the fourth house? Well, in this example that you see, the ascendant is Gemini and Mercury is in the fourth. Because you count clockwise from the ascendant, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you know that Mercury is in the fourth house. But this Mercury is exalted, very happy to be here. And Mercury, if you ask Mercury, how are you? He'll say, I'm in my own house. I am exalted. I am in my Mola Trikona, whatever. It depends on which degree it is right now in this particular horoscope. This is one way. And the second factor is, even if you have, if you find out 1 out of 12 people have Mercury like this, even then they will not get the same results. The reason being that the ascendant might be at different points in Gemini, and because of that, the angular distance from the middle of the house, which is called Bhava Madhya, that distance will change. And then you will have Mercury either in Bhava Madhya or you might find it at the edge of houses. So whenever it goes to the edge of houses, the effects will be different. Suppose I have something like this and I have a lighter here with a flame here. If I keep it like this, this point will get the maximum heat. And whereas this will not get, or this will not get the same kind of heat. So you need to give importance to where is that Lagna degree. Because of that, the Bhava Madhya position changes for every house. So you will get different results just because of that. And second, if you go for more parameters, it gets very complex. That's why astrology is so difficult sometimes. So Mercury in Shadbala can be strong or average or weak in spite of being exalted. That will come as a shock to many of you. But if you use software, any astrology software for this, I'm sure you would have noticed that exalted planets aren't the strongest planet in the Shadbala scheme, which is the ultimate test for the planet's strength. And the opposite also holds good, that if you see a planet is debilitated and you expect it to be the weakest in Shadbala, it will be sometimes just the opposite. It might even be the strongest planet. And that's where we would make mistakes. So now if you keep increasing parameters like this, you will know your Mercury in the fourth is quite unique. And maybe at the maximum, you might have only maybe 7 people or 10 people in this world having the same combination. I mean, the same position and exactly the same thing all over the chart. Okay, because in Vimshopaka, Mercury might be in different strength. In divisional chart like a Navamsa, the same Mercury might be somewhere else, and all of this would change. And apart from that, planets may afflict. For example, this Mercury is bracketed by, let's say, Rahu, and Sun like this. Maybe it was an eclipse and Mercury got involved in that eclipse. Instead of being very good fourth house, and fourth house matters should have been very, supposed to be expected to be such a wonderful fourth house. Suddenly it's like a flip of the coin. It's completely changed. Now it is in the worst possible position, the same Mercury. So it is impossible to find the exact way your Mercury is in your fourth house and then refer a book, because you can't get all the permutation combinations in any book. You'll have to build it up, the logics of all this, you'll have to build it up block by block, like brick by brick. And only then you will get the entire picture, like solving a zigzag puzzle. So just take the opposite of this. If this is the ascendant and Mercury is debilitated in the fourth, quite different. So whatever the Rishi says about Mercury in the fourth, you will not get it in full. Maybe you will get the opposite side of it. And one more important idea or logic in astrology is, after talking about a particular house, because the planet occupies a particular house, you will also have to ask one more question now: where is the Lord of that house? And that gives a kind of strength, or takes away the strength of whatever result is there for Mercury being in the fourth. And the result actually gets completely different, which you will understand when we go through the rest of this video. So you have another type where Mercury is in the fourth here, and obviously this has to be Mesha or Aries ascendant. And you know that Mercury has only one enemy, and that is the moon. And if you want to know what's the logic behind it, it's because maybe wherever you can find some logic. Not all cases you can find the logic, but here you can, because Mercury is the planet of intelligence and sometimes joke and wit and activity, communicating and all that, calculation. Whereas moon is emotional planet. And somehow it doesn't go well with emotions, because intelligence does not find itself very happy to be in a place where there is emotions. When there is emotion, you cannot speak. You can only cry. So, this is just a simple way of understanding why Mercury hates the moon. So, you can find many varieties of Mercury in the fourth. So you'll always have to keep that in mind. This can get quite different because of a planet looking at Mercury or being with Mercury. And sometimes, the sun could be very close, causing a severe combustion on Mercury, and it almost gets fried up. So Mercury, it's like, if you know how to cook, then if something gets deep fried, you'll notice that people refuse to eat it because they say it's too much. We cannot relish the taste. So Mercury completely changes because it got deep fried. But when it comes close, it can actually get better in what is called Nipuna Yoga, which makes Mercury stronger. Maybe a little bit of heat is good, and then Mercury gets better. So there are several ways of looking at it like this. So planets can aspect Mercury, planets can be with Mercury. Mercury could be scissored between two malefics in what is called Papa Kartri Yoga. Maybe it's just the opposite, Shubha Kartri Yoga. Good planets are bracketing on either side of Mercury, and it becomes even more, better than ever before. You can also remember that Mars hates Mercury, and Mars has only one enemy, which is Mercury. Mars is red and Mercury is green. So Mars is fire and destroys the green. It is pollution, the engineering that happens in this world, and Mercury is all about the green. And the red and green, they never go together. Even in traffic signals, you can see that they fight with each other. So you could have many varieties of Mercury being in the fourth, and it will not be the same. Like, for example, this one where Mercury has no problem being here, but it's still in the but it is still in a place that it doesn't like. even though it is not listed as an enemy. Mars is not listed as an enemy. And Jupiter also treats Mercury as its enemy because Jupiter is about wisdom, and intelligence, they don't get along well. So you have to keep an eye on all these things before you get into the actual text. So now let's request Mrs. Harini Prahalad to read out from Brigu Sutram, the book by Dr. G.S. Kapoor, and let's hear what she has to say about the actual Sanskrit words, and we'll discuss this together now.
Lagnat Chaturte Buddhafalam. Let's look at the benefits of Mercury in 4th house. Hasta Chapalyavan. Hasta means hands. Chapalyavan is using it very well. Mobility. Chapalya is also using it very freely. Hasta Chapalyavan. Can we say ambidextrous?
We can say that, or maybe okay, some talent with the hands, right? We can use it like that. Active hands. Maybe where even sports it might help, I think. Even in a chess game where you're playing blitz, you want to move your hand back and forth quickly to the clock and back, like table tennis or any of that. So wherever the dexterity of the hands are required. So see, the logic behind this is Mercury is speed planet. Mercury is a movement planet, and it's about communication. In communication, it's all related only to the movement. I send a letter from here to the other place. The letter has to travel. The email has to travel. Electronics. All of this is only about moving from one place to another. So that way, the Hasta Chapalyavan might be whatever these things can make our life comfortable, because we are dealing with the 4th house. The 4th house is what makes us more comfortable. So maybe the fast hands can make you comfortable.
Dexterity in hands.
Yeah. So maybe some people, they are very good with using both the hands, like in symmetry, ambidextrous and things like that. They might be quite good at this. Even in magic shows, you will see that these people, actually, they'll move their hands so fast. You could see them playing with the, with certain objects like the playing cards. Only to them, it will be so beautifully done. If we try with the same thing with a playing card, it won't be so easy. So might be it's a great asset to these kind of people.
Juggling, Guruji. So
correct. Juggling. Yeah.
These persons might become magician if they want to.
Yes. Magic, or anything where there is high speed required, even to write an exam fast. Maybe it is very useful. 4th house is also one of the houses of education, learning. So today we have to write the answer, within a limited time. Your hand, your pen, everything should move so fast. So maybe these people have that power. If you're writing it slow, obviously you won't. Even if you know the answer, it's not going to be in the answer sheet. And you might lose marks because you're not fast enough. So surely I think this is a great advantage to have Mercury in the 4th.
Dhairyavan. Dhairya means firm, brave, daring. So Dhairya, can we say this person will be firm in decision? He will be very brave to do new things, and he will be daring.
Yes, of course, we can use that. In fact, the translator, if you can see here, is mentioned it as only patient, but patience is also a kind of courage. Okay, being firm. Yeah, you can use that.
Vishalaksha. Vishala is broad. Akshi is eyes. Vishalaksha, broad eyes. Pitru Matru Saukya Yutaha. Pitru, father. Matru, mother. Saukya Yutaha means they will be very comfortable with their father and mother.
The logic here is why Pitru Matru has come here is because the 4th house basically represents our home. And so even the 9th house is parents. Generally, even the 4th house is kind of parents, because you have your mother and father and your nest, your home. So I think that may be the reason why he has mentioned parents here, because they're together, their main objective is to give comfort to the child. So we'll have much happiness from parents. Easy to understand this.
Jnanavan, learned. Sukhi, happy. Sodasha Varshe, in 16th year. Dravyapahara Rupena. Dravya is things. Apahara means forcefully taking or stealing. Apahara means stealing. Rupena, in the form of forcefully taking or stealing.
So Dravya is actually wealth, right?
Dravya is also wealth. Things, wealth.
Or wealth, okay. Assets are, okay.
Assets. Dravyapahara Rupena means forcefully taking things.
Next.
Aneka, more than one. Eka means one, Aneka means many.
Many.
Vahanavan. Vahanavan means the one who is owning vehicles.
Okay. So the next time you see somebody having 2-3 vehicles, you can ask, maybe you have Mercury in your 4th house. Again, the logic of why Vahana is connected, it's because the 4th house is also Vahana, and Mercury is all about speed and movement. So you need a vehicle to speed up. Otherwise, you have to go by walk, which is slower.
Bhavadipe Palayute. If the lord of the house is strong or well placed. Andolika, palanquin, praptihi. He will obtain palanquin. Rahu, Ketu, Shani, Yute. If it is associated with Rahu or
1 minute.
Ketu.
So Bhavadipe, Balayute, Andolika, Praptihi. The term, the big vehicles, palanquin, could be the biggest cars, the most comfortable cars. But palanquin can also be your, you have a car that is being driven by a chauffeur-driven car. So you sit back and enjoy, and somebody carries you to places. So even it could be that. But depending upon the other Raj Yogas in your horoscope, the range of vehicles has to be ascertained only by that method and not by just saying what kind of vehicle this is. So usually it will be a higher end vehicle and something that is very, maybe big and more comfortable. It's all about Sugasthana. The 4th house is the Sugam, the comfort.
Rahu, Ketu, Shani, Yute. If it is associated with Rahu or Ketu or Saturn, Shani. Vahana Rishtavan. He will face the loss of vehicle. Rishtavan is facing loss. Vahanam vehicle. He will lose his vehicle.
Okay, there will be loss of, or he'll be deprived of, or maybe there is shortage of, so there is some problem. But usually if you see the approach in Brigu Sutram is simply the question whether it is a malefic conjunction with malefic planets, often known as Krura Grahas, in which even the Sun gets included and Mars gets included. But for some reason, the Maharshi has only included 3 planets here. That is surprising. So basically either Rahu or Ketu or Saturn alone actually makes them deprived. So this is also another clue to say that the 4th house is perhaps more afflicted by Rahu, Ketu or Saturn more than even Mars or Sun. So that may be the reason why he had used that. But anyway, we will keep this in mind. And another way of using this knowledge in practical astrology is because it is Rahu or Ketu or Saturn's affliction related problem. If somebody has this in their horoscope, in the time of Rahu, in the time of Ketu, in the time of Saturn in terms of Vimshotri Dasha, the depriving of comforts and conveyances, loss of or accidents, heavy loss of money, the car frequently gets hit, the vehicle gets hit, or there's a lot of maintenance expense. So the money keeps flowing out just to maintain the vehicle. So you can take it like that. Okay.
Kshetra Sukha Varjita. Kshetra is land. Sukha, happiness. Varjita is deprived of. So this person would be deprived of happiness from land. So Guruji, will he lose his land?
Yeah, because the fourth house is also house of all kinds of, basically anything that gives us comfort in life. When you say my home, my house, my land, these are all things that make us more comfortable. I can live happily here. So this is definitely a case of affliction. Whenever Rahu, Ketu, or Saturn is in the fourth house, it will create some problem. But this is not the only combination. There might be other yogas to contradict this in the chart, in which case during a time when Mercury Antardasha is going on, and if such a Mercury has been afflicted by Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, during that time alone, whatever his land is, he might lose. His vehicles will get into trouble, etc. Accidents and those kind of things are possible, or loss of these things can happen. Yes.
Bandhu Kula Dveshi. Dvesha is hatred.
Bandhu Kula Dveshi. Okay.
Bandhu Kula Dveshi. Bandhu is relatives. Dveshi is hatred. So he will have hatred towards his relatives.
The reason is that the fourth house is also called the Bandhu Sthana, the relatives, the attachment that we have. We are all attached to in a way, for the sake of addiction to our comfort zone, we call it. So that's the reason why he has included the Bandhu relations, and all this will be afflicted. There'll be some bad experiences with these people. Maybe in most cases you see in India, somebody who's a relative will take away the person's land. They have claims in partition. Whenever they do the family property partitions, this is often the case. I receive a lot of questions like this. My uncle took it away, my brother took it away, my sister took it away, and so on. So this is a great clue for us to know about it. So
Guruji, does Bhavadbhavam concept apply in this, Guruji?
You want to say, suppose we are reading the fourth house, also keep an eye on the seventh house, the fourth from the fourth. And if you find the same thing over and over again, then of course, Bhavadbhavam, you can always use it in any place that is you want, because it's one of the big principles in astrology. Always look at the fourth from the fourth and see if it still persists. It's a good idea. The last word.
Kapati is being Kapati, deceitful, or he'll be a cheater.
Okay. So sometimes a negative Mercury is also the imposter, the double actor, cheating by documentation. Basically, today it could be cyber crimes, taking somebody's PIN code, PIN number from, like they are very smart. It requires kind of, you have to be very clever to do it. So Mercury is all about cleverness. So on the negative side, we have all these malpractices, trying to figure out the password of another person, peeping into hacking. Those kind of things can also happen because Mercury is so much electronics. So in all the robbery movies in the taken, you will see that the person is an expert in electronics, and he will know how to do that. So Mercury does that. So which side are you? Which side is a person? Which side is a person is determined by the same planet afflicted. You can say it is on the bad side. If positive, it is on the good side. So whatever you see here, deprived of comforts and conveyances, no land and bitterness, you have to reverse it if Mercury is placed very well. For example, let's take for a Gemini ascendant person, Mercury in the fourth house, be extraordinary, because Mercury is in the fourth house, in own house. That's also exaltation. And let's say there is no association with Rahu, Ketu, or Saturn. Next level might be even using the simple idea of not astanga, not combust, does not have any affliction. Then whatever, even from the negative statements, whatever you see, just reverse it and say the opposite. He will have plenty of land. He will be very happy with his relations, and he will never cheat anyone. He will always be in palanquins and this and that. All the positive things you can take the moment you know that this Mercury is extremely favorable, and reverse it completely if Mercury is unfavorable, debilitated, afflicted by at least these three malefics just been mentioned, maybe that's enough. With that, you can easily figure it out.
We have come to the end of this video. In case you have any doubts, please type them out in the comment section. And whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. And see you soon in my next video.